How's it going, guys? My name is Marcus, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to take your vocals from sounding like this.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that.
To sounding more like this.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that.
But if you are interested in listening to this song that I recorded and mixed myself, then the link will be down in the description to the music video. First things first, what everybody misses out on is separating their tracks. So a lot of the time when I'm recording, I like to have a recording track, a main vocal track, and a reverb bus. And that just basically separates all of my plugins, so that way I don't take up all of the space on one specific mixer rack. Now, for my recording track, I usually just have a normal auto tune with a fruity compressor, and the auto tune is just basically gonna act as an auto tune. You know, it's gonna do a normal thing that an auto tune would do. I usually have my retune speed around 8, my flex tune around 5, and my humanize at 100%, just so I won't get that robotic tone, but I'll still have the auto tune effect. Now, the reason why I've got my retune speed at 8 is because that's what works best for my voice. Now, on different songs and different genres, you might want to turn the retune speed up or down. It's basically your own personal preference. So if you're watching this video, I'm sure you know how to use auto tune, and I'm sure you know how to work it to your own liking and have it to how you like to use it. But this is just basically my settings. Already with only adding the auto tune, you can tell that my voice sounds a little bit better.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad.
Now it sounds a little wobbly without a beat, and that's just because I can't sing. If you listen again without any auto tune or any compression, it sounds like this.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad.
And you can hear that in a bunch of spots I went up, down, like I can't sing. So you don't need to know how to sing, you just need to know how to process your vocals, and you can get it sounding good. After the auto tune, I added a little compressor with a 6.8 dB gain. The type is on hard, no diddy. Release is on 122 milliseconds, ratio is on 4:1. Threshold 0, attack is on 15 milliseconds. Now I cannot explain why I did these settings. I just played around with the vocals a little bit and listened to it over and over and over and over again for hours, and turned it up, turned it down, whatever it was to make it sound the best. So you're gonna have to play around with these vocals, but I will leave this entire preset numbered and labeled in the description below for you guys to download for completely free, and you guys will have all the sauce. So you probably don't even need to be watching this whole video, but I'm still gonna explain to you guys how I'm doing this and the process. For the main vocal chain, what you wanna do to your recording vocals, you want to unlink it from the master channel first. So you unlink the recording track from the master channel and only link it to the main vocal. You can see that my recording preset is down here linked up to the main vocal, and this main vocal is tied to the master channel. So on the main vocal, we have a fruity limiter. It's just a basic limiter with the attack at 2 milliseconds, release at 85 milliseconds, sustain at 10. The other release for the noise gate is at 62 milliseconds. Gain 0, threshold is at -37. Then I have a subtractive EQ that cuts out most of the low ends around 56 hertz. Now you are gonna have to mess around with your vocals, but I would highly recommend that you cut out the low end of all of your vocals to make it sound more crisp. It's very important that you don't have too much low end in your vocals to bind with the low end of the beat. That's how you get that muddy sound, and that's how you lose some of that quality in your vocals. You guys can just copy down these settings right here, or you can just download the preset below. Next up, we have a compressor, another compressor to add on to the first compressor that we had. So I have this one at 9.1 dB. The ratio is at 7:1. The threshold is at -25 dB. Attack at 15, release at 200, and the type is on hard. So next up, we have another EQ, and this one is kind of like an additive EQ. So this one basically boosts the high ends, takes out some of the mids, those harsh S sounds. It kind of boosts some of the low mids and cuts out a lot of those lows, but still leaves a little bit in there. Then I have a fresh air. This plugin is actually free, so you can go find this plugin on the internet for free. I basically have the mid air to 34 and the high air to 14. And it's very important that you have these linked. If you change one, it changes the other one. This is just what I have it on, 34, 14. That's kind of like my secret sauce point. All right, and then I have a fruity flanges basically on the default preset, and I've got it turned all the way down because I've added automation clips that are gonna affect the flanges at certain points in the song. Now I have another EQ that's in the telephone preset. This is gonna give your voice a radio effect, and I've got this one turned all the way down. It's very important to turn your effects all the way to 0 first before applying the automation, because if you do it before turning your volume down to 0, then it's gonna affect the whole track. Then we have another limiter, and this limiter is just another basic limiter where the attack is at 2 milliseconds, the release is at 85 milliseconds, sustain at 10, release over here for the noise gate is at 50, gain is at 1, threshold is at 0. Now for the last effect that we have is a TDSer, and you can actually get this for free. This is just the basic version of the Technovision natural sounding de-esser. The link will be in the description for this. I have it on the high end frequency range. I have the sharpness down to negative 15.2, the intensity down to 3.3, and the processing to negative 28.4. And this basically takes out a lot of those harsh S sounds that are in my vocals. So let's play it and let's see what it sounds like so far with just the main vocal track and the recording preset track on.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad.
Already you can hear that it's so much better. Like it's so much better and it's so much louder. Next up, we have a reverb bus, and we're gonna tie the main vocal track to the reverb bus and have that reverb bus onto the master channel. I've got a EQ that's basically cutting out a lot of the highs. Then it's going to be doing a low cut at 210 hertz. Basically what you can do is go to presets and then select 20 hertz by 18K and move it to your liking. I basically wanted to cut out all of those frequencies so I can only have the reverb effect on the mid range of the vocal. For the fruity reverb, we got the wet like at 100%, and we're not putting it past 100%. We're just gonna keep it at 100. We got the delay at 49 milliseconds. That's what works best for my vocals, and it gives me that crispy like half a second delay that you hear in most songs. Tempo turned off. The bass is at 100%. The decay is at 0.6 milliseconds. You want to EQ your reverb at all times. This is very important to EQ your reverb so you don't get too much of an overwhelming reverb sound. I hear a lot of songs these days where people put too much reverb in their vocals and it sucks. It sounds so bad because their vocals are just drenched in reverb, and it takes away so much from what those vocals could have been. So do not drench your vocals in reverb. Always add an EQ to your reverb. This is highly important. So for my high cut, I have it at 8.6 kilohertz, and the low cut is at 949 hertz. Now I chose these areas because once again, I played around with the reverb chain and I played around with my own vocals to make it sound good for my voice. Now this probably won't be the best settings for you guys, but for me, this is what works best for me. The size is at 100%. The diffusion is at 100%. The speed is at 33%. Cross is at 500 hertz. The dampening is at 4.0. And the dry is at 0. So it's simple. It's very simple stuff. You just move these knobs around, play with it a little bit with your vocals, and get that sound that you want. Next up, we have a delay. I'm not gonna waste any time here. The wet is at 50%, tone 0, dry 0, bits is at max, sample rate is at max, level is at 26. I have it on the ping pong preset. You can do mono or stereo. I have the pan at 0, tempo sync. I have this at 4.0. I have the input at 100%, the rate at 1:1, time 0, cutoff 0, level 0, spread 0. The saturate is on, feedback, all of that is on 0. Everything else is on 0. You can copy these settings down. Next up, we have another limiter. this limiter is going to be on the compression preset, and this is basically side chaining the main vocal. So whenever the main vocal activates, the reverb basically ducks out, and we want this because otherwise the main vocal and the reverb would be close to the same level, and it would mess up how the vocal sounds. It would add way too much reverb. So you can copy all these settings. I got the gain at 0, saturation at its normal position, threshold is at -18, compression knee is at 32%, ratio is at 4:1, attack is at 0, release is at its normal spot, sustain is at 45 milliseconds. All of these are at a normal spots, and make sure you right click on this and side chain it to your main vocal since it's already linked down here. Last but not least, we have an ozone imager. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to be able to get this ozone imager, so I'll make another YouTube tutorial and link it down below when I get finished creating it on stock effects that you can do with this preset, and I'll have that preset also linked in the description of that video, but that's for a later date. If you do have ozone 10 imager, then what you want to do is just put it on the mid-range presence preset and leave it, bro, because that's what works. That's what works. That's what makes your vocals sound like hella beautiful. You put it on that preset and just leave it. So now with all of these effects on, this is what my vocal sounds like.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that.
A lot better. That reverb is there, but it's not taking over immediately, and with the beat it's gonna sound even better. So now let's add our second layer, which is, I think this is my my lower vocal recording, which sounds like this.
You can tell me if it gets bad.
And bro, I'm not good at doing these vocals, but you can see that you don't need to be amazing at this, and it doesn't even need to be like the best thing in the world. All I did was just pan everything to the left and turn it down all the way. I added the same presets. I just changed the auto tune from soprano down to low male, and then I changed the retune speed to 11, turned the humanize to 85, just so I can get more of a reverb, more of a auto tune effect on my vocals, because once again, I can't sing. So with all of these effects enabled, this is what both of them sound like together.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that.
Amazing so far. It sounds really loud. It sounds really professional. So next up we have our high vocals, which are gonna sound like shit, but this is a part of the process. So for the high range vocals, this is what they sound like so far. You know you can tell me if it gets bad. Horrible. Like, my voice has some background noise and all of that. It's just not good. So once again, recording preset, main vocal preset, reverb bus, throw all of those on, and here we go. This is what it's going to sound like all together.
You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that.
Simple, 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 easy, bro. That's all you got to do. If you're wondering like what I have on my master channel, this is what I've got. I've got an ozone 10 imager, and I've got it set onto the balanced master preset. So once again, if you do have ozone 10, throw that on there, bro. It's super, super important. That is the key. That is the key to making your stuff sound amazing, bro. Ozone 10 is like the best thing that you can possibly use. So throw ozone 10 on there, throw a soothe on there. I got this on balance to the Grammy Awards because, you know, I'm trying to make it to the Grammy Awards, you know what I'm saying? But look, hey, throw this on, throw on a limiter so it doesn't peak. This is just another basic limiter. It's the one that you start out with. And I got this Edison on here because I did some reverse reverb. If you guys want a tutorial on how to do a reverse reverb effect, let me know, because I'll definitely make one about that. But hey man, other than that, this is what the whole song sounds like.
Hey, You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that. Take you to my crib like we'll be right back. Right back. Tell me if you like that. You know you can tell me if it gets bad. You know you can tell me if you like that. Take you to my crib like we'll be right back. Right back. Tell me if you like that. Huh?
If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Turn on those post notifications, and come back next time for some more, man. Peace.